Hey there, I'm back to talk to you about some other aspects of the novel. If you guys turn to page 90, there's a line that Bromden tells us in the bottom of the first paragraph. Idiot, you just had a nightmare. Things are crazy as crazy as a big machine room drawn in the bowels of a dam where people get cut up by robot workers don't exist. But if they don't exist, how can a man see them? And this has a lot to do with both Bromden's reality, which is, again, we talked about it earlier, it's the truth even if it didn't happen. He sees things literally that are actually metaphors for what's going on. And for those of you who are writing your papers about how Bromden changes over the time in the novel, you'll see that these kinds of instances don't happen in the back third of the novel. So if you're tracking Bromden, this is an important comment. Another thing I wanted to point out on this page is that we're introduced to someone named Mr. Turkle, who is unequivocally kinder than the other men who work in the ward. Turn now, if you would, to page, let's see where I wanted to take you to, page 106. In the exchange between McMurphy and Nurse Ratched, or Miss Murphy and the establishment, we have a series of pages where McMurphy always seems to be accommodating, even though we know it's constantly this calculation to see whether or not she is going to rise to the bait. Page 107, she says, "You look deep in thought today, McMurphy," and he says, "Oh, I'm a thinker, all right." And everyone knows that he is being accommodating, but it seems that he's being accommodating in a just waiting for the other shoe to drop sort of way. And by page 109, the doctor has introduced the idea of a carnival, and everyone's all excited about it. And somewhere along the way, McMurphy was able to convince the doctor that it's his idea. So Nurse Ratched has no choice but to at least talk about it. And it is a brief moment where she loses power. Page 141, he wants to watch the World Series. He wants to get the World Series turned on, and Nurse Ratched is pushing back on this, following what she says are the rules of the ward. Now, in real life, an opportunity to watch the World Series when enough people are aware might be a really great thing to do, and she's holding to the rules as a way of holding on to power is, I think, the argument Cankesi's trying to make. And so McMurphy's trying to get a vote, and she agrees to the vote, and he doesn't have the numbers because he needs Chief Bromden to raise his hand, because she's including the people who are not even able to know what's going on in the number of people who have to vote. And on page 142, it's too late to stop it now. McMurphy did something to it that first day, put some kind of hex on with his hand so it won't act like I order it. There's no sense in it. Any fool can see. I wouldn't do it on my own. Just by the way the nurse is staring at me with a mouth empty of words, I can see I'm in for trouble, but I can't stop it. McMurphy's got hidden wires hooked to it, lifting it slowly just to get me out of the fog and into the open where I'm fair game. He's doing it, Wires. No, that's not the truth. I lifted it myself. And Bromden's vote makes it 21, and all Nurse Ratched can say is, "Sorry, the vote is closed." So this moment is really important for a number of different reasons. First of all, Bromden's proving that he can at least hear or be aware of what's going on. Two, he says, "McMurphy put a hex on my hand and he's using wires." No, it's not that McMurphy does it. He says, "I'm doing it myself," which means he's moving himself out of the fog. And that's a huge statement if you're talking about Bromden, and also if you're talking about fog. But what's even more interesting is that McMurphy is, intentionally or otherwise, motivating the men to stand up. And in this particular case, his presence motivates Bromden to put himself out there. But because Nurse Ratched refuses to listen to the vote, because she says, "Sorry, the matter's closed," because this is a power struggle between the two of them, on pages 144 to 145, they pretend to watch the game, and McMurphy just starts announcing as if there's a game on television. Page 145. If somebody had come in and took a look, men watching a blank TV, a 50-year-old woman hollering and squealing at the back of their heads about discipline and order and recriminations, they'd have thought the whole bunch was crazy as loons. And of course, that's what everybody thinks.